Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Recap Saturday's game. MVPs from the game, special teams, Thomas Clucky, kicker, did a really good job. All extra points made a field goal there to extend the lead there in the third quarter. And then I thought he did a good job on his kickoffs all day. Not an easy environment to go kick the football consistently. I thought he did a good job. Offensively, Jerwan Newton, 2 big touchdowns in the first half, real consistent at receiver, big block on Devin Maddox's big explosive bubble screen there. So happy with that receiver room, and some guys are emerging, doing some really good things there. Quinyon Mitchell obviously got a lot of national attention this week for his game. 4 interceptions, first time here since 1950. Major lift for our team in some key moments. Those pick sixes were huge, especially the first one. I thought, really got that momentum ball rolling, and as you guys know, the momentum piece in college football is huge. So, and then I thought a lot of other guys had some really tremendous days. Dallas Gant's days of, his almost 15 tackles, that gets overshadowed by, Q's performance. Thought DeQuan Finn was really solid all day long. A couple guys on the defensive front had really good days as well. Deontay Johnson, another consistent game at linebacker. So, and I think I said this after the game, sometimes we're playing without a lot of guys right now. So a lot of young guys are stepping up and doing a lot of really good things, and it's been fun to watch them go through that process. And sometimes as a coach, you say that after a loss, and everybody points the finger at you and acts like you're making excuses. So to get a win and for those guys to play really well in moments and seizing their opportunities, that makes you smile and gives you encouragement for what the future looks like of our program. So turn the page this week to Kent State. A team that I got a lot of respect for Coach Lewis and how he runs his program, and I think that they're sound in all 3 phases. Really a strong defensive front anchored by those 2 inside guys that allow the guys at the second level to go clean up and make tackles. They got length in the secondary; they can cover your guys. Really good quarterback, and some good skill players on the perimeter to supplement him in the passing game. And then obviously he does a good job, making some plays with his feet as well. So another quality conference opponent here, and doesn't get any easier. It just keeps getting harder as you go along through the season. So got to have a great week of practice, and look forward to hopefully a full stadium here Saturday and a great crowd for these guys to come back home. It's good to be back in the Glass Bowl.
Kind of a non-traditional week with fall break. Are you able to get any extra, football time, team time in?
Fall break, what is that? Yeah. Well, we talked about that yesterday in team meeting a little bit. I think a lot of things when you decide to be a Division I athlete, you give up some of the freedoms and some of the things that the normal students they get. But we stick to our routine the best we can and treat a Monday as a Monday, whether there's school or whether there's not, and hopefully some guys can get caught up on some academic things and get ahead that way. Try to get in and get some more videotape work that way, but it's not terribly different from what we normally do.
Midway through the season now, what kind of grade would you give the offense, and how big do you think the last 2 weeks have been, and kind of what you want to be?
I think there's a couple ways of looking at this. I mean, obviously we went right down the field both drives to start the game. But as I showed them yesterday, there's still a lot of mistakes there that they get masked up because, the ball is going to a different place. And I think in a sense, defensive football is harder than offensive football that way. Sometimes guys on offense can make a mistake or miss an assignment or be in the wrong spot, and it doesn't really get noticed. But if you miss an assignment or you're making a mistake on defense, that ball will find its way into the end zone really fast. So I think sometimes offensively it's a little bit, I don't want to say it's easier, but it's a little less challenging than getting everybody on the same page like it is on defense. But I think you got to clean that piece of it up and continue to move and work forward there so we can have some more growth there. I'm happy with what the quarterback has been able to do, and I think his rhythm and consistency through the first half of that football game was as good as it's been. And I think when he's playing like that and we're operating at a high efficient level, we're tough to stop. Obviously I think the 6 games of the season were, by yardage wise, we're the least penalized team in our league. I'd like to see that continue. We took a major step forward in the turnover margin, by being +4 this weekend and moved us from below average to almost to the top of our league. And those are 2 key things that I think are going to help you if you want to become a championship type team. So I don't know if that directly answers your question about the offense, but it's kind of where my mind's at.
Kind of along the same lines, you guys don't throw a ton of passes. You don't have a ton of passing yards, but DeQuan still manages to have several touchdown passes each week. Just along the line with efficiency, kind of how efficient do you think he's been in terms of not turning the ball over and getting the ball?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we kicked ourselves after some red zone lulls against San Diego State, and then the last 2 weekends we've been really efficient in the red zone. I think we only miss we have is taking a knee against Central Michigan at the end of the game. So you get the ball down there to be able to score touchdowns. That's the only way to turn a game into a one-sided game. You start settling for field goals or you miss those opportunities. Competitive balance evens out really fast, and I think that comes down to preparation and practice and really understanding anticipating what you're going to get defensively, and if for some reason it's not what you anticipate, still being able to make the right decision with the football. So, and I think we've spread it around to different people too. We've been able to. There's not one receiver we're trying to throw the ball to every play. He's going through his progression. He's doing what the defense allows him to do, and then those guys are doing good things with the ball after they catch it.
Jamal Turner, he hasn't had many catches, but they've been pretty big, the ones that he's had, multiple touchdowns. How big of a weapon do you think he can be for this?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's obviously, we've seen both ends of it. Mike Roberts had 16 touchdowns at tight end, and, he's drafted. The next year, the tight end had no touchdowns, and he's played every game for the Buffalo Bills this year. So, production statistics at that position, sometimes it's, I think, overrated in my opinion. It's a position that's the hardest position to play other than the quarterback because you ask him to do so much. That guy's got to line up as a receiver. He's got to line up as a flex, and then he's got to line up in the backfield. And then, oh, by the way, you still have to put your hand on the ground and line up next to a tackle. So you're in pass protection sometimes. You're run blocking all the time, and you're a pass receiver all the time too. So, he's done a good job maturing. He's done a good job going through, I think a growth process through his time here in his career, and he continues to get better, and we're going to need him down the stretch.
Going back to Saturday, we forgot to ask you about the fake punt. You got to really be feeling it to run that to the defensive tackle. What did you kind of see there, and how much has Judge been bugging you about running that play?
Well, Judge is a high school tight end who still probably thinks he can be a college wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that 4th and 1 in today's football is, when you start dealing with analytics and looking at percentages and that thing, I mean, you're in the high 60s, low 70s% there to go for that. And, up with that lead, keep your offense on there, maybe, I don't know. We've worked on that for the last few weeks and, thought it would be a good time to try to, steal a yard and get one. And, he did a good job getting the first down, and good play for him, and good credit to him to understand what's going on. The guy that's the most upset is Tyler Long, because if he wouldn't have got hurt, that might have been him in that situation. So we'll have to hear better than the back end from Tyler.
I think Dallas may have been the most talked about player this offseason. I mean, when he came on signing day, lots of questions about it, and I know you talked a lot leading into the season. Now 6 games in, I mean, he's 20th nationally in tackles. Just how big of an impact do you think he's had on this team?
Major, major impact. And you think you know what you're going to get when you get a transfer to come in, and obviously he's from our backyard, so we've known him for a long time. But really smart guy, really accountable guy. I think, and a guy that's proven his teammates that it's team first for him. Not every transfer does that, So I think he's earned a lot of respect internally in the locker room right away, right off the jump, and I think that makes it easier to coach him to his potential. If you're still worried about other things from outside of football and how he's navigated the locker room and fit in with the guys, like it makes it difficult to, hand the keys of the car to somebody, so to speak. But, had a great plan. He won the job coming out of preseason camp, and, we had a really good luxury there of a 3-backer rotation. And when we lost Bolden, it probably threw more on his plate than maybe what we even thought, maybe what he bargained for to start off. And, to his credit, he was ready for it. He seized the moment, and he's played great all the way down the stretch here, these first 6 games, and we're going to need him to finish that way too.
The Tua stuff last week brought kind of concussions back into the limelight. 20 years ago you were playing, now you're coaching. How different is like the perception in like the locker room among coaches, players, whatever, of head injuries, and just how serious is that all taken now?
Well, I mean, I think that, player safety is at the forefront of everything that goes on, whether it's ACLs, whether it's, labrum tears, anytime that there's a bulk mass of one particular injury, you're always trying to find ways of the root of how it happened and how it starts. I mean, we lose a couple guys to, Jones fractures and Liz Frank fractures in their foot, and I'm running around like questioning if we're turf's good enough. You know what I mean? Like, so you're always, as a coach, you're always trying to figure out what the root of the problem and try to get the solutions, and to help your guys and to help your team. But, head injuries are, that's part of the sport we play. That's not a major thing in baseball and basketball and some of these other sports where the other injuries are maybe more prevalent. But contact sport, you got to keep doing a good job of coaching to keep your head out of there and prevent the things that you can prevent. Some of it is not preventable, and I hate to say that, but you got to do a good job to keep coaching and keep educating them on what's a good hit, what's not a good hit, and then I think we got to keep listening to the people that have the degrees that make the decisions on what's smart and what's not smart. And 20 years ago, the football coach told the doctor what to do. It's not the case anymore. And it's never should have been the case. So I think we're in a good spot. I think that we continue to through the off seasons of each year, wrap our head around what's real and what's, maybe perception, and do the best we can to, keep our game the safest we possibly can as we move forward, because I think it's a game that we all love and we want to preserve it as long as we can. And the only way to preserve the game is to preserve the people that are playing in it and help protect the players.